So we're gonna go live as well. We can always edit the nonsense before this serious stuff, so. Oh yeah, good idea. Good idea. Let me mute myself. 1 second. It's always a little bit crazy when I go like live streaming, because I don't know what it's like a mental thing. Once you know you're live, it's just so much harder to speak. Like, I know there's no one watching live, not at least not too many, 1 or 2 people, but it's that mental pressure. Strange. Kudo please says I posted as non. I'm setting my EOS account this week. Okay. There is Fix. Paul. Cool. That's not gonna show up. Good. Okay, so it looks like everyone's here. Shall we get started? Cool. That's a unanimous yes, I hear. So, hello, and welcome to another community meeting, another Novusphere community meeting. It is January 22nd for me, but for most of you, it's still January 21st if you listen to this live. If you're not, it will be whenever you listen to it. So, let's have Asphyxia give us the rundown, as always. Then we're going to have Brian and Paul to follow up. And I'll just jump in on the last bit to give a little bit of marketing and community update. How's that sound? Okay. So go ahead, please.
And a bunch of other projects to come. And so, again, Jack has really been the one leading the way on this. It's a lot easier now with some infrastructure changes that happened for the other members of the Novusphere Foundation to help add that stuff to the forum. And so, going hand in hand with that, we're seeing a lot of other branded subs coming out, like very similar to what we did with the EOS Cafe sub. So, again, the Pixeos sub, the EOS Hash sub, the EOS Dax sub, and we're hoping to see a lot more EOS communities starting to come and use discussions.app and start to foster their EOS community on there, because what better place to foster an EOS community than on the chain itself? And this allows other projects to meet to support each other and further the ecosystem. A feature that has been asked for in the past in the forum is, can we do polls on the forum? And now that the referendum has launched, I thought one of the cool ideas of what we could do is allow someone who has created a referendum, which you can use essentially as a poll, to be embedded in just a regular OP in any other section of the forum, because obviously at this point in time, you can only create these referendum polls in the referendum sub. So there is a way now to do this using an attachment And what this is going to essentially lead into, which is a feature still being developed, is the ability to cross post um, certain posts. So what I mean by that is, so for example, let's say you are, Pixios, and you've posted something to your sub. Well, you're still, what you're posting is still fairly related to EOS, so you might want to have that post also show up in the EOS sub because, maybe someone's not subbed to Pixios, and maybe they're not looking at all, but they're subbed to EOS, so you still want them to have exposure to that content. And so Reddit has this system as well called the cross post, and so basically all it does is it sort of puts a link or an embed to the post in EOS sub, and it refers to the post in the Pixio sub. So that's a feature that's going to come fairly soon. Um, Again, it goes fairly hand in hand with the idea of being able to embed these referendum polls. There's been a little bit more tweaking that's happened with the Lynx wallet, and again, it's fully working now, as well as with Scatter. We have noticed an issue with Scatter, and it's happened for a long time, ever since they migrated to Scatter Desktop. It's not exactly something we can fix because it's a problem that other sites will also experience, which is occasionally, sometimes the site or the Scatter API doesn't work as intended, and it doesn't actually detect that you have Scatter open. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, the only way to really resolve this issue is for you to just refresh the page and let it reinitiate that process. So we changed the error message when you log in to give a little bit more guidance as to this problem. And so, just for anyone listening, if you ever run into that problem, just follow those instructions, which just says all you need to do is refresh the page, try again, and it'll most likely work. Hopefully, Scatter can get this resolved in the very near future, as I'm sure it's definitely a user experience thing that a lot of dApps aren't too happy with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the last thing, which is again a visual thing related to the form, thumbnails will now default to the branded sub logo if there is one. So, for example, when you post something in the Pixios sub, if it shows up in all, it'll have the Pixios logo. And the same thing applies to any of the other branded subs we have, like EOS Cafe or EOS DAC or RO Vegas. So I think that's again something really cool, and it starts to allow a user to see a bunch of all these really cool token icons that are all
Mm-hmm.
related to the EOS ecosystem on our platform.
Okay, okay. So that was a lot, Asphyxia. Thank you for that very detailed recap. But just to break it down a little bit and just to add a little bit, a small comment before I hand over to Brian and Paul, is that the subs that you see, the custom subs that you see, are not just there for the looks. I have reached out to each of those individual communities to, engage their community manager, teach them how to use a sub, teach them how to tip. Obviously, the idea being that this start to tip user of the platform with their token, kind of as a way for them to advertise, but also to be more user of the platform. So yeah, those are communities that we have reached out to and are working in collaboration to launch some kind of contest. Like just like we did with EOS Cafe, just like we did with Pix EOS. If you do have an EOS community in mind that you would like us to reach out to, do leave a comment. We looking to reach out to them and see what we could do. Okay, so Brian and Fix, do you want to take over?
Sure. So our team has submitted all the initial documents that the bank in Mauritius requested. It was ABC company. We're just waiting for their approval right now and are expecting a reply sometime this week. And if everything goes smoothly, we're on track with setting up the foundation by the end of January.
Oh,
And yeah, that's the update for the foundation.
very exciting. And Paul?
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I think Brian covered everything. So at this point, hopefully next meeting we can, have a concrete date of, the official founding of the Novusphere Foundation.
That would
Yeah,
be very
it's all
exciting.
very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know you guys been asking us where we could get Atmos, and we've been telling you only Cryptopia, which is as you have heard lately. Oh, did we mention this in the last community meeting, or is that something?
No.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So do you guys also want to cover that as well?
Yeah, sure, I can cover that.
Sure.
So just to give a brief recap of what's happened in the last week or so regarding Cryptopia, is Cryptopia had their exchange compromised, and at this point in time, we know that they've had a bunch of Ethereum and Ethereum-related tokens stolen from them. At this point in time, it doesn't look like any other coins, aside from the Ethereum-related ones, have been compromised or sold or moved or anything like that, as far as we are aware. But at this point in time, we have reached out to Cryptopia, but we are yet to hear a response from them. We're going to assume at this point that they really can't comment on the situation until the New Zealand police sort of give them the thumbs up to do that. But what we want to reassure users is that if there is a case scenario where Cryptopia was compromised and those funds were permanently lost, or if they've been stolen, in our case, we do have and we have discussed as a team some internal procedures we can take to help remedy the situation in terms of what's happened to our Atmos holders that had their coins on Cryptopia. But at this point in time, we're not going to give too much information on that, as we're just mainly speculating on what's going on with Cryptopia. So once we have some confirmation and some concrete details to go on, we'll clearly outline our plan going forward of dealing with that situation to the community.
Okay, I don't think I can summarize that any better. So yeah, we are looking out for our token holders. We are keeping, getting as much information as we can, and we'll keep you guys updated as soon as we get more information, and we'll try our best to make sure we make things right. Okay. Yes.
The other thing is we are now looking at around 50% of all Atmos have been transferred to the EOS-based system. So, with that said, there may be opportunities for trades on the existing dexes that Atmos trades at. So Dexios and Delta Dex, which have had extremely low liquidity lately, but now with a lot more Atmos technically available on the system, there may be some buying opportunities. So if people are, anxious or curious to get involved, they may want to put some buy orders up on, Dexios or Delta Dex. And, hopefully with this next phase of the foundation, we're able to, start in earnest our campaign to get listed on some larger exchanges.
Yeah, so we're gonna like Fix said, we're gonna Dexiox and Delta Dex. Could you please ask which exchanges he could buy some Atmos right now? Yes, that's Dexiox and Delta Dex. I think the best is probably Dexios. I think that's the largest volume of Atmos. Right. So as he said, we're working on getting listed on some of the bigger exchanges. Can we name drop them, or is that something we don't want to do? Okay, I'm assuming the silence is no. So, but we are we're working on getting on some big exchanges, not only EOS Dex, but we are gonna pursue those in tandem. So you will soon see Atmos tokens on new decks as well, which is obviously the biggest one, and maybe even some decks that are more Asian focused, like WhaleX. Those will be also looked into. Cool. So the floor is open. If anyone else have anything else to add.
No, I think you've done an excellent job covering most of the things that have happened and what's going on.
Okay, well, that was mostly you actually, but I'll just kind of mirror some of the things you said.
Guiding the conversation in that direction, I mean.
Okay, thanks for that. Very nice compliment. So on that note, I want to thank everybody listening, and of course the rest of the team. Did I hear something from Paul? Did you have something to add?
Oh, no, I did not.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I just want to thank you guys who are listening, and also thank team for, keep working, even with this recent setback we have. I'm sure we will get through it together. So okay, thank you very much, and team out.
Thanks.
You guys.
Thanks, everyone.